Hi, Michael Gaffney. We're back. Today's class is called Hydrangea-based or English Mass, M-A-S-S design. What is this design good for? Everything, everywhere, anytime. It's good to fall in love. It's good to get married. It's a welcome to the neighborhood. It's congratulations on your promotion. This bouquet goes anywhere. It's used often down the aisle. So it's an easy one. You're going to love this one. It doesn't get much easier than this. This would be considered high-end designing in most flower shops. And I'm going to teach you how to do this in the next 15, 20, 25 minutes. So I have my flowers lined up. Here is what we're working with today. Here is your recipe. I've got white hydrangeas. They come like this with little packets of water attached. You want to cut these off. Remember, the secret to hydrangeas is alum powder. A-L-U-M. You buy it at the grocery store. You put alum powder in your vase, like a tablespoon in a vase this size. I usually use big buckets and put they come about this big, half a container of alum. You cut your hydrangeas when you get them, you put them in alum water, and you let them sit there for about an hour and a half. That is the secret to why your hydrangeas are lasting when they never did before. They're famous for doing this, as you know, just drooping. So we're going to condition our flowers. When you get your flowers, make sure everything is chopped, put in warm water, let it sit there for an hour and a half. It's called conditioning. Again, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know in this school. All the videos, going to spill it all out, all my secrets, all my tips. And one of the top tips is alum powder, A-L-U-M. It'll make or break your hydrangeas. I never used hydrangeas before until I discovered alum powder because they're on the way to church, like wet rags. They're hanging when I get out of the car. So let's go through our flowers. I've got some spray roses here. Again, you can substitute flowers. I'm going to explain what you can substitute for. But the one thing in common, notice I'm peeling off these leaves. This is another thing that kills hydrangeas, lots of foliage. You're going to want to remove most of this foliage because we're doing an all-mass design, which means all mass of flowers. But you can substitute flowers. But one thing you're going to notice, if I haven't explained to you yet, there's a difference between a line and a mass flower. A line flower is long. Like a gladiola, a snapdragon, a branch would be considered a line material. Snapdragons are a line material, and a mass material is like a ball on a stick. You need to know like 4 things to be a top designer. That's one of them. Difference between line and mass. So all the flowers that we're using today are mass flowers, M-A-S-S. So we're prepping our flowers. I'm taking off the wraps over these hydrangeas, pulling off the major leaves. A lot of designers strip them naked. I like to leave a few leaves on. I think it protects the flower while you're working. So I leave the last 2 or 3 leaves on. So prepping our hydrangeas. They've been sitting in alum water for an hour and a half before I'm using them. Again, leave some of those leaves on. What else do we have? We have some mini green hydrangeas. Cleaning leaves off. We have some Queen Anne's lace. There's a new chocolate variety that I like very much. We have some Pittosporum. This is Pittosporum, P-I-T-T, like armpit, variegated Pittosporum. We have some Hypericum berries, about the only berry I really use. You'll see throughout this course that I work with similar flowers. We're going to strip off some of these leaves. It's because they're called the workhorses of the business. They hold up. You can't be a professional designer. You can't be even a hobbyist and have flowers that are dying in a few days. So the flowers I use are very sturdy, very hardy. I call them the workhorses of the business. So here are my Hypericum. You're not going to need a whole bunch. 4 or 5 of everything. Here is some mini gerbs. These are actually called a cushion gerb. They are a little bit different. I call them a double gerbera, if you can see them in that camera there. So we're going to use some gerbs, 3 or 4 of these. Again, do you ever hear the story that you always design in odd and even numbers? That's totally not true. You can design in odd numbers all day, even numbers all day. Mix it up all day. So we've got gerbs. We have some, this is called Matsumoto aster. I'm going to split these up. Again, you can substitute. You could use sunflowers. You could use any type of flower as long as it's a mass flower, like a ball on a stick. You don't want anything with flowers running down the stems. So here's some Matsumoto. We have some roses. I'm going to peel these a little bit. If you don't have a rose stripper, which I'll introduce you to in this course, this is what your roses come in when they ship to you. You can take off a piece of cardboard. You make like a little baseball catcher's mitt. corrugated side in. You can hold your roses up and strip them using your cardboard. Again, we are not removing the thorns off the rose. When you remove the thorns, you open up the bark for bacteria and air bubbles to get in. I'm stripping the leaves below the suspected water line, which I think will be right about there. And when you run anything over a thorn, you knock off the very hypodermic needle tip that hurts so much. Still thorns on there. I did this in LA one day and blood started coming down my head. So don't do it so hard. But the thorns are still on there, but I removed them using this cardboard and also the foliage. So that's another good tip. We have some lemon leaf. You know I love this. I use it in everything. It's also called salal, S-A-L-A-L. And lastly, we have a little bit of wax flower, a filler. There is your recipe lineup. Now I'm going to do this bouquet. Normally I would do one of these in about 5 minutes. So don't blink, you're going to miss it. But I'm going to slow down for you. So it's hydrangea based. It's also an English mass design. In a typical English arrangement, an American arrangement rather, the finished design would be, your container would be 1/3 the height of your finished design. In an English design, it's 1, 2, or less. So it's a little on the squatty side. I don't know why they do everything squatty, but they do. A little bit dwarfish, I call it. So here's how you do a nice English mass design. We're going to start with focal point. 20-some years ago, when I walked in that flower shop and I was a truck driver for the shop, drove their truck, and then they brought me to design, and I said, what do you want me to do? And they said, stick one of these in the middle of each one of these pots of greens. And I said, why? And they said, it's called the focal point. And I said, oh, I heard that in architecture school. So here I am, 25 years later, still talking about focal point. I'm going to take the queen of the deck. There's always a hierarchy in flowers, which today are roses, and I'm going to cross like this. See that? There's a whole secret to life, or at least beautiful flowers. If they start on one side, they exit on the other. Don't stack them like you've been doing. That's called stacking. You want to angle your flowers crisscrossing like swords through a magician's box. There's your focal point right there. Next, I'm going to let the hydrangeas do most of the work. I'm going to pick up my white hydrangeas, but following that same principle. See that? Now you know everything. See how these kind of tilt that way? I tend to tilt them up into my bouquet. They do more work. It makes the bouquet look fuller. So a lot of times hydrangeas have a tilt. That has a definite tilt. I'm going to use that tilt to my advantage and tilt it up. So I now have 3, let's see, I've got 4 hydrangeas in this recipe. And I have collared my design with roses, like shirt collar. With hydrangeas. So there's my focal point. There's my hydrangeas. I'm going to do it again real quick. Start with your focal flowers. Just don't think about it. Just make a triangle, pinching them like this. 1, 2, 3. Adjust them. Tweak, tweak, tweak. Next, I take my hydrangeas and I have them looking up at the audience. Just go around your focal point. 1, 2, let's see, that way works best. 3 and 4. The high point of your design should remain those roses. It is on the top of the world. Here's the Arctic up here. It is the high point of this design. So now I can add anything I want. I've got some green hydrangeas. I'm going to work with those next. And I'm going to put these between the cracks, right between each white hydrangea. I'm going to put a little mini green hydrangea. Look at that though. There it is. Notice how I'm holding it nice and high. Don't hold them down lower. They'll flop apart. You want to grip this one, kind of choke it, I tell my students, all the way. Notice how I'm switching hands. It's easier if you switch hands and come from the other direction. So now I've added 3 hydrangeas. Tweak, tweak, tweak. That's what and make sure these come right up to the surface so you have this dome. Dome's a big deal in our business. So now I've added 3 hydrangeas in a triangle. I wish I had 4 hydrangeas, but guess what? You don't always get what you want. You get what you need, Mick Jagger. So the 4th one looked right over there, but it's okay. Next, I have some more roses. I'm going to put some more roses in the cracks. To the outside, boom, 1, switching hands again. I'm going to go slow. Watch down here, that's where all the action is. Then I look up on top, make sure it's sitting nice and pretty right where I want it. 2, Let's see, how many roses did they give me today? 3. Right there. I'm going to steal another one so I can work with odd and even numbers all day. And there's 4. So I did a square of roses surrounding the hydrangea, still following that natural dome shape. And you just tuck them in and pull them out. When you look at this bouquet from on top, you want to be able to see all the flowers at once. Next, here's a secret tip of mine. I take some, a lot of times it's so much white hydrangea for anybody, even in the wintertime. So watch this, going straight down, not through the center. If you go through the center, you're not going to get through all the stems. I'm going to hold it like this. And I shove it straight down like this. See it come out the bottom, and watch. You pull it down. And I'm going to break up some of that white hydrangea with some white mini gerbs. So I'm pulling it through. There it is, coming out the bottom. I pull it down and let it set right on top. Nice and easy breezy. Summer designing. Straight down, not this way. You're not going to get it through the stems. You got to go straight down like this. Pull it down and right on top. It's pretty already. Now, again, tweaking, making sure everything's up. I don't want a lot of leaves on this one. I'm going to pick some of these leaves off. So today it's all about the flowers. English love their gardens, so we're going to focus on the flowers. Next, I have some Matsumoto. I'm going to do the same thing with the Matsumoto. These are shorter, but long enough. They'll hit the water, right coming down there, pulling it through. Again, breaking up more of that, all that hydrangea with some Matsumoto. You can shorten these up so you don't have to pull them through so far. See, poke, 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 you'll get it through. And when it comes out the bottom, boom, right like that. Half of my bridal work these days is this design. Just a fist, I call it a fistful hydrangeas, and a few flowers tucked in. Here's another Matsumoto, straight down, comes out the bottom right there. I'm going to do that slow and pull it in till it nestles, and then grab it right on top. We have Luke in the background watching us today. What do you think, Luke? Looking good. He says looking good. Yeah, I know he's going to learn a lot. He's my cameraman this week. He's going to learn a lot this week. He's going to have another career after this week is over. Now, what else we got? We got some hypericum berry. I'm going to throw some hypericum. Notice I'm switching hands. Again, coming like swords from a magician's box. Remember, I learned this craft as a trade. It's like cooking. It's like photography. It's like videography. You learn it like a trade, and you follow the recipes, and it works every time. Again, I can do one of these in 5 minutes, but I'm going slow for you. So we're done. Oh, I got spray roses. I forgot. You could stop here. You could stop anywhere along the route and go and get married with this bouquet. But I've got a few extra flowers, so I'm going to add a little bit of spray roses, again, on the outside of my design. And now, see if that one down there, it's no good. So you can just pull it off because it's not going to do any work. But again, make sure everything is kind of that dome shape. I think Luke, the cameraman's taking this one home to his wife tonight. I'm not sure. Next, we're going to finish this off with a little trim. I call it collaring. Just finish off this bouquet. You're going to put a little bit of wax flower. You could use baby's breath. Any kind of lemon. Now, you don't want this sticking out like the wild weed of Tanzania now. You want to be discreet. A little bit. Even that tip I don't like. I'm going to pinch it off or cut it off. So we're going to put a touch. It's like seasoning. A little salt and pepper. A little bit of wax around the edge. Let me get into that close-up camera. There you go. Right there. Check it out. Like a piece of jewelry on camera there. And then, you know I love greens and everything, just about everything. So now we're going to do a little bit of our pit. A little pittus porum right there. Again, everything angled through your bouquet. Like that. And normally if I was doing a wedding, I usually just put pit around it. But since we're doing a bouquet today for vasing, again, you can get married with this. I'm going to show you later how to wrap all this. You can clean some of this off while you're going along. I'm just going to add a little bit of lemon leaf or salal just around the edges. So normally, for those of you who are thinking of doing weddings, I can do this. This would be maybe a few more callas, mini callas, some more roses, and you got your bridal bouquet done. Bridesmaids, maybe take out some of the flowers, make it more simple. And maybe only 3 hydrangeas. Give the bride 4 or 5, give the bridesmaids 3. Just decrease things a little bit and maybe a little less variety. And I usually have 1 flower that's just the brides. So I would have like just mini calla lilies in here. That would be the bridal flower. And the girls would get everything else but. So now I'm just finishing off with a little bit of this lemon leaf. And look what we made in a matter of, oops, my hand. I'm running out of hands. Yes, you can tie part of it off to get it easier to hold in your hand, but you'll do fine. I've known a lot of girls over my career with very small hands who do everything I do, so it's just an excuse you're using right now. You will get this too. Here's a close-up of it right there. We have 2 cameras at us today, so I'm giving you some close-ups right over there. Now what do you do with it? Now that you've got it all finished, there's a couple things you can do. These videos you see online, they show zip ties. I don't like zip ties because, first of all, they're a little bit tacky. Second of all, when you go to wrap these bouquets, if you're going to put ribbon and pins on it, you can't do it because the zip ties will be in the way. So I like to take some wire. I'm going to use 2 or 3 pieces of 21, 23 gauge wire. I've got 3 pieces. Now you choke this. Look where I'm holding it. I slide my hand up and really choke it. Squeeze it. I'm going to wiggle that finger right there. This is the hardest part. In class, everybody says, can you show me how to wire it again over and over and over all day long? Wiggle that finger right there. Now you're going to lay your wires right underneath that finger and push them around. See what I'm doing? Look at that close-up camera. I'm pushing them around. Now I'm going to flip the burger over, I call it. And then there's my reins and my horse right there. They're all on one side. Watch that close-up camera. I'm going to grab them and put this finger underneath. Like that. I'm going to pull it tight, and then I'm just going to flip the burger around. That's how you get a nice, tight seal on the deal. If this was for a wedding, you would clean off all this extra foliage. This is going to cause bacteria in the water. You would chop it and drop it. On a Wednesday, don't forget, you know what I love? This. I'm going to spray it all with Crowning Glory, of course. Everything that leaves my shop, everything that's going to leave your shop or your home is going to be coated in Crowning Glory. I like them wet. Look at this. Wet, 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 wet. Water is life. Crowning Glory is water, only better. So I'm going to clear away some of this mess, and we're going to finish it off with a chop and drop. Again, I'm going to show you later in the week how to wrap these for a wedding. But again, if you're doing a wedding, you do these bouquets on Wednesday. Yes, on Wednesday. We're going to talk about all this stuff. Because your flowers are peaking on Wednesday, you want to design it, seal it, put it in a cool room, refrigerator. Remember, you don't need a cooler to be a florist. You need an air conditioner. And that is when your flowers are at your peak. So I just sealed in the moisture. I always joke on TV that I'm 102, but the reason I look so damn good is because I'm wearing it every day. So it's my beauty secret, and yours too from now on. So if I was giving this as a gift, I'm just going to chop it. Again, you're going to want to clean all those stems off. Like this, chop, chop, chop. Don't lose a finger. Clean all this off. It takes longer to clean it than it does to make it. Beautiful. These extra little pieces of wire you can cut off or just wrap around the bouquet. I'm going to explain later everything. And one thing I don't like is when flowers touch the bottom of the vase. Because when you touch the bottom of the vase, it connects to this table, it connects to the earth, and your arrangements look very stiff. People always say to me, why are your flowers so pretty? I said, it's like David Copperfield. They're almost floating in air, except for this rim of glass. So I don't like my arrangements connected to the earth. There's a very floaty effect. When I walk into a room and I see flowers touching the bottom of the vase, I can tell from a mile away, even in a black vase. They look hard and stiff. So I'm going to cut this so it hovers above the earth. I'm going to cut these extra wires. I'm going to squeeze it and drop it into that vase. And there you are. That took Let's get a close-up right there. Boom. And turn it like a diamond on television. That is called an English mass design. Perfect for any occasion. The neighbors move in. Sorry you lost your job. Sorry your cat died. There's a million ways and reasons to give this bouquet out. Again, on that close-up. Spray these. I'm going to go over it again. Do these on Wednesday. You finish your weddings on Thursday. You spray everything up in Crowning Glory. You set it in the cooler. And this will be perfect. In fact, I'm going to show you this design later in the week. It'll be 7 days old and still look perfect. My designs, as you know, following my tips, which I'm going to talk about during the course this week, last 3 to 4 weeks. The average American says flowers last 5 days in your home. Why do they last 3 to 4 weeks in my house? So you would put this in water like this, set it in your cooler. The day of the wedding, you pull these out of your container and you wrap the stems with ribbon and pin. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you everything I know in this course. So you will not be at a loss for what to do on any occasion for any flower. You know, you're going to learn English, French, American, contemporary, traditional design. Let's talk about the cost on this bouquet. I'm going to give you the wholesale cost, average wholesale cost. I'm going to do this on every bouquet we teach in class. Write this down. Get out a pen. Hydrangeas, wholesaler about average across America, $2 a piece. Roses are $1. Matsumoto, 75 cents a stem. These cushion gerbs, $1 a stem. Hypericum around $1. So now that is the average. You can get them sometimes for 85 cents and sometimes $1.10. But let's go with $1. You got some greenery, and that's about it. So here we go. Hydrangeas, 2, 4, 6, 8. The mini ones, $1.50. 9, 10, 11. Go in favor of the house, 13. Roses, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Berries, 22, 23. Hypericum, 24, Matsumoto, 25. Couple dollars for greens and filler, 26, 27, 28. What did I forget? Spray roses, 29, 30, 31. So let's top it off at 30. This is not a cheap bouquet. Times 3 is our normal markup in the flower business. It makes it what? 90. Then you add your labor. So this bouquet is around $110. Put some mini callas in there, a few more roses for the bride, and it's $150. A little bit bigger, it's $150. So anytime you do an English mass design, it is not cheap. And you've got to get the money for your designs. You cannot be a good florist and sell and make money and survive selling your flowers for less. This spectacularly pretty bouquet. There's your close-up of it. I'm going to spin it around. So charge for it. But this is easily a $100 bouquet, depending on what your markup is and what your labor is. I will talk about labor throughout the week. If you have questions on this bouquet, again, watch this video over and over and over again. It's all there. If you feel like you didn't do very well in any of my classes, just practice for a half hour. You'll be the best one on the block. This is not a hard art form. I'm going to talk about it over and over again. Even I can do it. I've written 3 books. I appear on lots of television shows because I just followed a few simple rules. All mass flowers, lots of triangles, squares, pentagons, little geometry. I always say flower design is math, science, and architecture, and a little bit of creativity. Finish it off with a wax flower, but remember, start with your focal point, surround with hydrangeas. Add your flowers, pull them through to break up some of that hydrangeas. A little bit of filler goes to the outside. A lot of times my students put it on the inside. No. You want this on the outside, your foliage and your filler on the outside. Again, you can change the design a little bit, but you can't change it a lot, or it morphs into something else. So when you watch these classes, pretty much stick to the rules I give you until you get really good at it. Then you can break the rules and go rad. But you're not going to go very rad because you're going to wind up with a mess. So follow what I do. This is how all top designers do it. So this is your hydrangea-based design or English mass. I'm Michael Gaffney saying, call me let me know if you have any questions. It's easy. Make sure you prep your flowers before you start it. Make sure you spray with Crowning Glory. I'll see you when you're done. I'll see you in the next class.